Today, I'm going to be ranking the 5 mainline 3D versions of Link based on aura. Now when I say aura, I don't mean cool sword flips or cinematic cutscenes, because we all know who would win that. I mean the weight each hero carries, how they look, what they accomplish, how the world treats them, and how they're remembered. For this video, I'm breaking aura into 5 categories. Each hero will receive a score out of 50 total points, with each category being worth 10. Firstly, visual presence, how each version of Link looks, moves, and presents himself. Second, mythic feats and scaling, what each Link actually accomplishes over the course of their journey. Third, in-world reputation and charisma, how each Link is viewed by the people inside their world. Fourth, cultural impact and outside legacy, how each hero affected the Zelda series / gaming culture. And finally, narrative essence and arc, what each Link had to persevere through emotionally and symbolically. Keep in mind that these rankings are going to be subjective, and with that being said, let's start at the beginning, literally. The Hero of the Sky. Starting out with visuals, I'm going to give the Hero of the Sky a 7 out of 10. He has a softer, painted aesthetic that feels like a high school varsity Link, if that makes sense. He looks promising, but still very much a knight in training. Compared to the later designs, he lacks a bit of bite and sharpness, but that's also part of the charm. When it comes to mythic feats, this is where the Hero of the Sky absolutely clears. This is an easy 10 out of 10. He forges the Master Sword, defeats Demise, the literal origin of evil in the Zelda universe, who had conquered time itself, and sets the foundation for the entire timeline. There's really no argument here. He's him. In terms of in-world reputation, I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10. In Skyloft, he's seen as lazy and tends to oversleep. He's also frequently picked on by Groose. Though his Crimson Loftwing is quite rare, and he's very skilled with a sword, that being said, the surface world is largely empty, which makes it harder for his legend to spread the way it does for later heroes. Zooming out to his cultural impact, I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. Skyward Sword is absolutely vital for the lore. It introduced stamina, upgrades, incredible music, and some of the series' best dungeons, but controversial motion controls, overly linear gameplay, and weaker exploration didn't do it any favors. Not hating on Skyward Sword, it just felt like the breaking point of an already exhausted Zelda formula. The Hero of the Sky shines in his narrative arc, which earns him a 9 out of 10. It's an incredibly personal story, as he isn't fighting for a kingdom, he's fighting to save his childhood friend, Zelda. It's human, grounded, and arguably the best romance in the Zelda series. When you put that all together, the Hero of the Sky lands at a 40 out of 50. That's not bad. Moving on to the Hero of the Winds. Visually, he earns a 9 out of 10. This is a Link that is a masterclass in expression. His large eyes and exaggerated animations let you see exactly what he's thinking and feeling at all times. While the cel-shaded art style was controversial at launch, it has aged beautifully. This is the most alive Link has ever felt, and by far the most unique design in the series. He may not look the coolest, but he definitely has aura. In terms of mythic feats, I'll place him at an 8 out of 10. Physically, he's an average Link, though he does have the shortest swim time in the series. His scaling is a bit lower because he's fighting more of a weary version of Ganondorf over the remains of what is a sunken Hyrule, but still. Turning the King of Evil into a stone at the bottom of the ocean is nothing to brush off. Now his in-world reputation is intentionally lower at a 7 out of 10. People across the Great Sea mostly see him as a kid. He's not going to give you that sacred hardened warrior vibe, and he's a lot smaller than all the other Links. But that lack of respect feeds directly into his narrative arc, which is a 10 out of 10. This Link has no bloodline connection to the Hero of Time. He didn't have a dream about a Dark Lord terrorizing Hyrule. He's just going to get his sister back. His story begins as a rescue mission, and before you know it, he's facing Ganondorf, fighting for Hyrule's future. He basically becomes a hero by accident through his own courage and sheer willpower. His legacy is human and completely self-made. It's an easy 10 for me. Looking at his outside legacy and impact, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. The Toon Link design went on to define multiple future titles, and Wind Waker's emphasis on exploration and fluid combat has gone on to influence the series for the better. Altogether, the Hero of the Wind comes in at a 42 out of 50. Pretty good. Now, the Hero of Twilight. Visually, this is a 10 out of 10. This Link is aura personified. Chainmail, heavy leather, dark forest green, sharp features. He looks like he was built for battle. And don't even get me started on the cutscenes. Plus, he can turn into a wolf. Wolves have aura. Case closed. For mythic feats, I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. Besides restoring light in the provinces of Hyrule, most of his feats are all about raw, physical power. This is the Link that was able to stop rolling Gorons head-on, can swing a massive iron ball and chain above his head, and overpower Ganondorf in a one-on-one duel. If that's not aura, I don't know what is. His in-world reputation is also going to earn him a 9 out of 10. The NPCs treat him like a soldier, and the Ordon villagers look up to him wherever he goes. He also carries this level of unspoken respect that a lot of the other Links don't have. His outside legacy and impact lands at a 7 out of 10. Twilight Princess was a response to the early 2000s demand for a darker Zelda title. While it didn't fundamentally reinvent the formula, it arguably perfected the Ocarina-style Zelda experience. Now for narrative arc, I'll give him a 7.5 out of 10. He's an excellent protagonist, don't get me wrong, and I only give him a slightly lower score because he often serves as the anchor for Midna's development rather than focus on himself. The game gives him a deeply intertwined narrative and is still strong, just not as one-sided as some of the other links. That's gonna put the hero of Twilight at a 42.5 out of 50. Very respectable. Next up, we have the Hero of the Wild. Visually, I'll give him a solid 8 out of 10. Another softer color design, and I think the blue tunic was a bold change. Personally, I believe it's a good fit for the world, even if it's not as imposing as Twilight Princess's armor. Tears of the Kingdom gave Link a much needed armor upgrade, which I thought was amazing. It was a great redesign, definitely much needed, but overall, still a very solid design. For Mythic Feats, he earns a 9.5 out of 10. This Link quite literally defies physics with bullet time, masters Sheikah and Zonai technology, and defeats both Calamity Ganon and Ganondorf. That's good enough for me. His in-world reputation sits at an 8 out of 10. And what's interesting is how quiet his aura is. He feels the immense pressure of being the chosen hero and chooses to bear the burden of remaining silent and set a strong example. In Breath of the Wild, Link is the legend, but no one really knows it's him. In Tears of the Kingdom, he's respected by the NPC leaders, but is largely anonymous to Hyrule's population. His outside legacy and impact is a 9.5 out of 10. Whether you like modern Zelda or not, Breath of the Wild redefined the open world genre and reshaped player agency in games across the industry. You cannot understate its impact on gaming, though eventually I do hope we end up getting another linear Zelda. For narrative arc, I'll give him a 9 out of 10. In Breath of the Wild, his story gives us a look at the heavy burden of failure. Waking up with no memories after 100 years after failing to stop Calamity Ganon, which led to the destruction of Hyrule and the death of his friends, the champions. His entire journey is about finding his lost memories of a broken world and trying again. In Tears of the Kingdom, Link's new focus is on preserving future of a restored Hyrule. I can see the intention for a much more personal and deeper story in Tears of the Kingdom, but in practice, the game lacks a bit of personality. Altogether, the Hero of the Wild finishes with a 44 out of 50. Finally, we have the Hero of Time. Visually, he's a 10 out of 10. His Ocarina of Time design is the blueprint. The green tunic, Hylian shield, master sword, it's simple and iconic. But Majora's Mask transforms him entirely. When I first played the Majora's Mask intro and I watched him do those flips up the tree stumps for no other possible reason than aura, I knew this game was going to be peak. Through the masks, he takes on the forms of the dead heroes Darmani and Mikau, each blending with Link's own design. And with the Fierce Deity's mask, he becomes a silver-haired god with blank eyes and a double helix sword. He acts as a visual representation of pure power without a soul. Even without the symbolism, he just looks insanely cool. He even transcends his own era, reappearing in Twilight Princess as the hero Shade, the skeleton of a knight in rusty moss-covered armor. The Hero of Time has so many designs, and they're all peak. And for his mythic feats, he's gonna get another 10. He defeats Ganondorf, Majora, splits the Zelda timeline into 3 branches, saves multiple dimensions, and can pick up really heavy pillars. Again, that's going to be an easy 10 on the scale. His in-world reputation and narrative arc are inseparable, so I'm going to give them a combined 19 out of 20. In the child timeline, his greatest achievements don't exist anymore. He prevented Ganondorf's takeover and stopped the war before it ever happened. Despite having the memories of an adult, he's viewed as a kid. Conversely, in the adult timeline, he was worshipped as a god. The people of Wind Waker prayed to him for generations. His aura is so vast that people are still talking about him thousands of years after he vanished. In Termina, Link is like the anonymous fixer. He acts as a ghostwriter of history, rebuilding relationships, saving people in need, and restoring order to the balance of the world. Even so, every time he plays the Song of Time, he erases everyone's memory of him. Despite his impact, he's a total stranger to the people he saves. Link's story ends with him becoming the hero Shade. The Hero of Time represents the ultimate sacrifice. He gave up his childhood and his adulthood so that Hyrule could have a future. He has the deepest and most emotionally complex arc in the series, and honestly, it deserves its own video. Finally, his outside legacy and impact are an easy 10 out of 10 again. Ocarina of Time is objectively the most influential 3D game in history. It set the standard for what a 3D adventure should look and feel like, and popularized the lock-on targeting system for combat. I don't think there's any need for debate here. It's a 10. End of story. That brings the Hero of Time to a 49 out of 50, ending as our well-deserved winner. And that is going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed and you're still here, I really hope you liked it. Please let me know what you think of my rankings, or if you want to see more of this content in the future. I'm not Eddie C, and I'll see you in the next one.